And Barbara, thank you for meditation as well. Something odd is going on with me. This past week, there's been some words and experiences that just nag at me, stick with me. And I don't know, maybe I've slipped the surly bonds of sanity. You'll have to be the judge of that. But it kind of started last Sunday at the board meeting. Wayne looked across the table at me and said, Minister Patrick, would you please start our board meeting with an affirmation? I hadn't given any thought. I just took a breath, and I was kind of anxious to hear what was going to come out. And what came out, I spoke about and affirmed that we should try to be aware, constantly aware, that we are evolving. Constantly as creatures, as part of the universe, as a congregation, as a church. And that never left all week. It's been evolving. And as I thought more about it, I thought, as a church, another person who has served this spiritual community very, very well for many, many years has been Vivian Clark. She started somewhere around 20 years ago. We aren't sure when, something like that. And when she came here and became the minister, this was a regular Bible-toting, Bible-reading, congregational church. I started 19 years ago, and 19 years ago, there was a cross there. There was a 125-year-old Bible on the altar. We did communion the first Sunday of every month. We read the scriptures every Sunday, and we also sang the Lord's Prayer and a lot of other stuff. Vivian led us from that place of dogma and doctrine and conditioning down the bumpy, challenging road of evolution to where we are today as we sit here and we don't tell anyone what to think. We encourage you to think. We offer ideas and thoughts and practices that might work for you, and they might not. And that was a long, bumpy road. I watched a lot of bumps and ripples, but she never lost her vision. And then it was my turn. Well, we have evolved. We are free thinkers. We have no doctrine. We don't read the Bible unless we choose to. What's my job? So going back to last Sunday's board meeting, later on in the meeting, we were discussing something. I think it was whether or not to continue the crab feed. And something was going on, and something was said, well, this is different. And I said, well, that's just part of our ovulation process. My intention was to say evolution. But the word ovulation came out of my mouth. Now, I've been most of you have known me for a long time. I just kind of who I am is this ornery guy that comes up with funny stuff. I didn't come up with that. That wasn't my intention. And that caught me off guard. Usually I like to catch other people off guard by something that's a little perverse. That caught me off guard. And it stuck. And I thought about it, and I thought about it. Why did that spew forth? And I got to thinking, maybe as free thinkers, as people who have expanded our awareness, perhaps we are in a season, each one of us, of ovulation. Maybe it's time that we allow these little eggs of imagination and creativity to be fertilized by this expanded awareness. Maybe it's time we start creating. Maybe that's our next step of evolution, is to create new practices within our lives, to create a higher level of consciousness. Maybe this time right now is our fertile time. We've gone through the osmosis, the evolution of dropping the dogma and the doctrine. We've transcended all of those things that kind of limit your ability to expand your awareness. Maybe it's time to create new life within our own lives and within our community. So, it didn't stop going on. I got kind of thinking maybe I've slipped the surly bonds of sanity, so I called Vivian and I said, I'm going to talk about ovulation on Sunday. What do you think about that? And then I explained to her a little bit about that, and she said, well, I think that's worthwhile. She said, when it comes to creating, giving birth to something new, do you have anything in mind? And I said, well, no, I've thought for years that the next step would probably become a clothing optional church. And she laughed at me and she said, well, you're just never going to not be ornery and perverse, are you? I said, probably not. And I've said that in a joking fashion for a lot of years. But that stuck with me again. I know something about clothing optional. And I'm going to share with you what I know about that. In 1985, I decided to be a clothing optional person. And one would think, and I thought, oh, this is going to be a naughty, sexy, very perverse experience. I'm going to love it. It's going to be a hoot. Well, probably for the first day and a half it was. Just like we all would imagine it to be. But then something very interesting happened. As I interacted with other clothing optional people, I found out that this overdeveloped sense of vision that we have started changing. Everything wasn't about how somebody looks. All of a sudden, I began to notice that my other senses were very undeveloped and immature. My hearing changed. I started hearing things that I hadn't heard before. I heard me say things that I hadn't heard me say before because I was too busy looking around trying to be cool. I found out that my sense of feeling and awareness of energies had a rebirth experience. I started feeling the energy from other people rather than what they looked like. I felt energy from the universe. Your whole senses change when you are a clothing optional person. You become very aware of the weather, of temperature, of the breeze, of the sun, of the shade. You become very aware of textures that touch your skin. And as this level of awareness increases and matures, because you're not so busy looking all the time, you even become more aware of the textures of the food that you have in your mouth when you eat. So, I may make it abundantly clear, I'm not suggesting that we be a clothing optional congregation. I'm going to repeat that. I'm abundantly clear. I'm not suggesting we become a clothing optional congregation. We'll see who listens. See who shows up naked next week. But I'm going to metaphorically, what if we became a conditioning optional congregation? What if we became a belief optional congregation? What if we became a conditioning free congregation? A belief free congregation? And lived each moment based on its own experience rather than something Dad told me 30 years ago, or something that I've always said and always responded and reacted to. What if our awareness could get to the level that we could process on its own value every experience of every moment, truly being in the now? And in that awareness, in that experience, begin to create a new and different, unconditioned, non-habitual response to that experience. After that phone call with Vivian, I also thought about the questions. He said, do you have anything in mind for growth? Well, personally, I happen to do that. But as a minister, it's not my job to create. It's my job to embrace, encourage, inspire, offer ideas, offer possibilities, and encourage each of you to proceed in whatever direction you choose based on your own perception and your own desire. And I asked you to look around the church a little while ago and look at the other people. That's all of our jobs, because we're all in this together. We're here to embrace and encourage and offer our enthusiasm as each one of us begins fertilizing these new little ideas of imagination and creativity. As we bring birth into reality, thoughts, ideas, practices, desires, give them life. Add some more value, add some more richness to your life experience. And in doing so, that spreads So we will never stop evolving as a species, as human beings, as a universe. Individually, we can try. We can just go in a corner and sit there. Keep doing the same thing we've always done over and over and over again. But our body will continue to evolve. Our hair will change. Our skin will change. Our blood changes. All that's going to happen with or without our participation. But we have the ability I call it a privilege to create whatever we choose to create. If your awareness expands, you will become aware, I promise you, that our possibilities are endless. Our power is beyond our own ability to conceive, perceive. Each one of us is on a journey. Each one of us chose to have a life experience. And here we sit. And we can be tethered to all of the conditioning and the beliefs and the habits and the same old, same old. It's very comfortable. But in that comfort, how many of us grumble and gripe, complain? We have no idea what's waiting for us, each one of us. But I promise you that every single one of us has the opportunity, the power, and the ability to create the life we desire. If we'll just take advantage of this special time of ovulation that each one of us is going through. Fertilize those eggs of imagination and use this abundance of creativity that every one of us has. And we'll see what kind of a place we leave for Sierra's grandchildren. I can't wait to see what that's going to be like. We're going to sing Imagine. And when you do, I'm going to ask you to kind of think about those words. Is there a little nugget there? Some little thing that could encourage, inspire your personal imagination to conceive a new existence in your life experience? I wonder if we can do that. Let's sing Imagine, shall we?